This Friday, We Are Wrestling presents Lo que pasó. It will be for that BST Territory Championship, as it will be Dan DeMan defending against the king of the territories himself, the All Father, Mr. Darius Carter. And Darius, before we even get to your thoughts going to the match, I have to ask if you saw the video We Are Wrestling shared recently. It looks like Dan DeMan decided to corner Pete and just make this even more of a situation where is it that he's afraid of the All Father here?
I'm so glad that came out, and I've refrained from commenting on it because I knew we were going to have this discussion, and I know that it's going to escalate as the event approaches.
Of course.
Dan DeMan is somebody that I do have a modicum of respect for. He is a veteran like me. He is, honestly, he was someone that's been doing it longer, quite a bit longer than me. He was a ECPW when I was coming in. Dan has always been somebody that does what he can to help others. Dan has done a lot of help and a lot of assisting behind the scenes to help young talent. So Dan is somebody that I always keep an eye on just to see what he's up to. And I saw him approach Pete. Pete, who was talking to me, by the way, a conversation that had nothing to do with Dan DeMan or Danos or whatever he's calling himself in this moment in time. Pete's talking to me because Pete's trying to know what's going on with his top guy. All right, I may not be the We Are Wrestling champion, but I may as well be because I'm the number one man. And Pete turns around and who's here? Oh, Dan DeMan. And who's Dan DeMan talking about? Mr. Carter. He made sure to get that prefix in because he respects me too. But what's really sad about this situation is that Dan went and upgraded that championship, the BST Territory Championship. Now, if Dan was really a smart person, if he really read through his own book, this book of Danos, he would have flipped it to the page that said Darius Carter was coming for the territory title. And what he would have done is he would have renamed that title to something else. He would have repackaged it, and then I wouldn't have come for him. Because you do not have what I want anymore. But Dan doubled down on it. He doubled down on being the territory champ. Why, Dan? You're not him. You can't be him. Especially when I'm in the room, you cannot be him. It's impossible. So now, Dan, I have to take this championship that you put your own hard-earned money into, your own time, your own blood and sweat. I have to take that from you. I have to relieve pounds of gold from your body. It's not particularly something I want to do, Dan. I do feel for you. I feel bad for you. You won that championship from Ichiban, the same person that I wrestled at Don't Call It a Comeback. Match of the night, you tell me. And now, Dan, you get to come to the Bronx. You're welcome, by the way. You get to come to the Bronx on a marquee match on beautiful, beautiful artwork. Those posters have been lovely. You get your face on a Bronx, New York indie wrestling poster. And not just the Bronx, New York, but We Are Wrestling, the biggest promotion running in the Bronx right now. You get the DC rub. Consider it my gift to you. For the man you've been all this time, for these many years. Dan, I do respect you. But you know just as well as I do, I heard your voice tremble a little bit. I heard those chords shaking because you know how close to the end that you are. You didn't even say much to Pete because you didn't need to. You didn't need to. You don't believe it when you say you're going to beat me. You know you can't beat me. You know that this is bigger than us. Dan, this is fate. I have to take that championship from you, and I have to make the Territory Championship bigger than it has ever been. I have to make that championship the 2024 version of the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. I know that title exists, but I'm going to have people talking about this one. Dan, this is the best place you could possibly be in. I know the loss is going to be unfortunate, but realize that you get to be a part of history. You get to say that you were the person who dropped that championship to me, which in turn started off a championship run the likes of which we have never seen before. Because I'm not just going to take that championship and defend it at We Are Wrestling. If you think that that territory title is staying in one location or two or three, ooh, you are so sadly mistaken. I have already drawn up the blueprint for where I'm taking that title. It's a shoo-in. It's a foregone conclusion, Dan DeMan, that you are going to get beat by the All-Father. And it's not because you're not skilled. In fact, you are very skilled. It's not because you're not good, because you are quite good. It's because you're going up against something the likes of which you even haven't encountered. We've wrestled before, but this isn't that Darius Carter. And when you look into my eyes for the first time, when you see me, oh, in person, I mean, your heart's going to sink. Your heart's going to drop. And your chin is going to touch your chest, because you're going to say to yourself in your own mind, I'm not leaving with this title. It's going to hurt. You may go home crying, and I don't mean that in a pathetic way. You may really have tears coming out of your eyes, because you're going to feel like you put all this work into that title, and maybe you did. But I'm the person that's going to get more eyes on that title. I'm the person that's going to add a history-making resume to that championship. I'm going to make that title more sought after than it has ever been, because I'm the one that holds it, because everybody wants a match with DC these days, better believe it. And everybody will want their shot to be a part of history, to say that they tried to take the Territory Championship from the king of the territory. Do you think that you ever fit that bill, Dan? Do you think that anybody other than yourself has ever called you the king of the territory? Have you even called yourself the king of the territory? You haven't, because you know it's not true. You need that championship to elevate you. I am going to take that title and elevate it. There is the difference, my friend. Very cold reality, and I'm sorry this had to be you. You probably wish you'd have lost it to Ichiban at this point. Maybe you're going to wish you never had it. But, Dan, listen, you have these last few hours. Take that book of Danos, keep reading. Get yourself a nice glass, go out on the patio, put that title up, and think. Think about your place in history, and be grateful. Be grateful that BST and that Pete contacted you and said, Dan, we need you over here with that title. Be grateful for the moment that I'm about to give you, Dan. It's my way of saying thank you. It really is. I'm such a good person. I'm a good man. I don't get enough credit for being a sweet, genuine human being. I'm out here giving opportunities.
It's very, very generous of you, Darius. Very, very generous. But again, if you guys haven't already, make sure you get your tickets. Be there for possibly the start of another historic reign. Again, I have to say possibly, because I have to be unbiased here. You know,
I get it. I get it. You know what it is. You know what it is, possibly.
I have to be the unbiased broadcaster. That's all I do here.
Dan
I don't want to get
DeMan
myself
may
in
possibly
more
leave
trouble.
breathing.
Again, that could also be a possibility.